Rejoice. Rejoice always. That is the theme the church has given us for this third Sunday in Advent. On our Advent wreath up there, the candle is pink. The vestments are pink. But the readings, not so pink. Listen again to that gospel, just a couple of the lines. Give a shirt away. Give your food away. Be nice to people. Quit extorting people. Quit lying about people. Why are you being so unfair in your wages? You will be baptized with fire. The chaff will be burned with unquenchable fire. And then it ends with these words. Exhorting them in many other ways, he preached good news to people. Is that good news? Rejoice. Rejoice always. Maybe not. But then again, maybe. Maybe it cuts closer to the gospel, the good news, than we hear at first blush. Maybe it is a text of joy. First of all, this is a text of joy if you're the one who doesn't have a shirt, if you're the one who doesn't have food, if you're the one being exploited by tax collectors and harassed by soldiers. If that is you, hearing these admonitions of John is an occasion of great joy. But if you're the one doing the exploiting, if you're the one being asked to give up his shirt or some of her food, if you're the one who has to give up that position of power you have over people, then maybe at best, it's a different kind of joy. But the thing that strikes me most about this gospel, every time I hear it, is that they are there. They are there. The tax collectors are there. The soldiers are there. They went out of their way to hear this crazy prophet shout at them what they must do, what they must let go of, what they must sacrifice if they are to be saved, if they are to be made whole, if they are to become everything they can be. They don't have to be there. He wasn't preaching in the marketplace just down the street where they could have found him easily. They are there in the wilderness. They went out of their way to hear this man yell at them. And make no mistake about it, going out to the desert was a dangerous thing. The desert is a place where people tended to avoid. But they are there. They went out of their way to hear this prophet shout at them. And notice this. They are the ones who are asking, what should we do? They could have avoided these harsh judgments. What John is saying is that you have been on this one path for half of your life now, but there is another path you could take. Another path you could take. And if you do, you will find more life and more love showing up for you at your doorstep. Might that be joy? They are there. And they are the ones asking him, what are we to do? And the good news for them is there is a path for them. There is a path to salvation for them. Now, it might not be the most pleasant path to salvation, but it's a path. Nonetheless, it's a path. And having a path, knowing what is ours to do, to work on, is so exciting, so full of hope, that if I work on this stuff, I can be freer and I can be happier than I am. Is that not joy? To know we have a path? Just this morning, I was coming out for Mass just a little before 11, and this young guy stopped me and he said, "I want you to know it's my first anniversary of sobriety." And he was ecstatic. Day in and day out, he fights that urge to not drink. It had begun to destroy his life. Every day, one day at a time, he was letting go of this desire for alcohol and everything it gave him. And yet, he was ecstatic. He was manifestly joyful. He was beside himself. Father Gary, you wouldn't believe it. It's my first anniversary. I haven't had a drink for a year. Is that not joy, trouble, and a path? True joy includes pain. That is the fire John was talking about in that gospel. The biblical fire is a fire that clears out the path ahead of you, that renews the forest and makes a forest healthy and strong again, safer from a more destructive fire later down the road. Burn it now so that there's not a sweeping fire that destroys people's homes and their lives. Now's the time to set the fire to those things that are getting in the way of you on your path. As one scripture professor put it to me, this is not a fire of eternal damnation. This is a fire of purification. We need those kinds of fires in our lives. It strikes me that so many of us are so ready to detox our bodies, but we're not ready to detox our lives. We need to remove the chaff from our lives and burn it so that we don't keep tripping over it on our way to fulfill our desire to be happy. Is it painful? Yes. It's cold to not have that shirt. It's scary to be hungry. It's scary to not have the money I've been making as a tax collector, overcharging people. I know it's wrong in my head, but it's so nice to have this bank account now. I don't have to worry about money anymore. I just have to worry about getting caught. It's easy to let those kinds of things kidnap our joy before we even know it and destroy our peace. This is a necessary fire. What are we to do? 3 times that question got asked. First, the crowd. The crowd comes and asks, what should we do? And they get a warning against hoarding, consuming so much when so many don't even have enough. Share is your path, John says to them in no uncertain terms. Share with your neighbor. Share is your path. Then the tax collectors come, and they ask, what are we to do? What are we to do? They were known so much for extortion of the people, And he says to them, don't do that. Stop extorting your own people. Play fair. Play fair. It's so much more fun to end successfully, to win, if you play fair. Any of you who've been involved in sports over your life, I bet you would say that. You can win by cheating, you can win by hacking, but you know it feels really, really good to win by playing fair. Play fair, he says to them. Path opens up for those tax collectors just in those words. Then the soldiers come, and they ask, well, what are we to do? And he says, don't be so mean. Don't harass people. I know how hard it is when you see evil in people day in and day out, and you put yourself between those yelled horrible words people say and the bullet even some days. I know it's easy to get fed up to hear with people's junk. But he's saying the path for you through all of that is be kind, even when you don't feel like it. Even when anger is right at the surface of your tongue or your fist, be kind. These are very practical things John is saying. He's telling them, do your life with justice and some measure of integrity. And I would say that's good news for a soldier or a cop. And I would say that's good news for a businessman and a tax collector. And I would say that's good news for the oppressor and the oppressed. It's good news to have a path, to have something we can work on. It's good news, it's troubling news, and it's good news. But I'd rather know the path for me than not know the path for me. Let me give you just a few brief examples. If you are a perfectionist, and you are one of those we've talked about here before who are way too hard on yourself and way too hard on other people, and you were to ask in your perfectionism, what are we to do? The path, the prophet would say, is to learn how to love yourself in your imperfection. Learn how to live in an imperfect world. Relax a bit, you know? You don't have to be this intense. Play more. Now, I hear that as no challenge at all. But many of you, and you know yourself, you know it's true, it's really impossible sometimes to just relax and play when that's the chaff that needs to be cut down for you in order just to have a great time with abandon. If you are one of those who are extremely image conscious, and you're hell-bent on success and looking good and networking and everything that goes with all that, and you were to say, what am I to do? What are we to do? People like me, the answer you would get back is, learn how to fail. Don't be so afraid to fail. Trust that you'll be carried by others and loved. Even if you fail, it won't be the end of the world if you fail. And if you blow that first image and the response doesn't come back or you don't get the job, you're going to be okay. Trust that. That's your path. If you are one of those hell-bent on succeeding and keeping your image up for people. If you're one of those who have control issues, like many of us do, controlling your own life, your own emotions, keeping them contained so they don't get out of control. If you're one of those who likes to control other people and don't know how to live in relationship because so much of relationship is out of control, and you were to say, what am I to do? The word back to you would be, your path is engagement with people, because you can't in the end control a friendship. You can't. You can try. It's not going to work. And surrender. Surrender is the antithesis of control. Learn how to surrender when things don't go your way. And if you are one of those who are filled with fears, so filled with fears that you feel unsafe in this world, and you hang on to the rules and the laws and don't want anybody to mess with those because that's going to leave you feeling anxiety and unsafe and insecure. And you were to say, well, with all these fears, what am I to do? And the word you would hear back is trust. Trust your own inner authority. You can figure out your life. You have an inner authority we call the Holy Spirit inside of you. And if you learn how to listen to that inner authority, that's your path to salvation. And one last example. If you're somebody who hates conflict, who keeps putting it down, pushing it away so you don't have to deal with it, saying whatever you think people around you need to hear because you've taken on the role of a chameleon in this world just to avoid conflict. If you're somebody who avoids conflict and perhaps you're lazy, you don't want to have to do that work, so you're lazy on many different levels, and you say, what am I to do? The word would come back to you, stop doing weed, and get to work. Really. Stop it, or at least stop it so much. And get to work hard, and know what it feels like to end a day knowing that you worked hard today, and go to bed tired as you can ever feel, and say, I feel good because I worked really hard today. That's your path. That's your path. If you are married, not many of us are tonight, if you're in deep and honest friendships, and you are challenged by your spouse or your friend, it's going to sting, right? It's going to sting to hear those words spoken to you. And you'll find yourself fighting, wanting to get defensive instead of listening. But if you listen, it just might be good news to you. Listen to what he or she says to you will be for your happiness. Take it as feedback towards your path, to get on the path, to find out what your path is so that you can follow it, even if they didn't say it well. There might be some of that John, the truth speaker, in what they are saying to you, even though it came out as one more complaint. Better yet, can you even imagine anticipating those kinds of things and saying to your spouse or your friend, what am I to do? What should I be working on? You know me. What should I be working on to be freer and happier in my life and more available to love? And what's more, my friends, maybe sometime in the Eucharist tonight, the one who knows you best is here. And somewhere in this Eucharist, before we leave, you could just say in the quiet of your heart, God, what am I to do? What should I be working on, God, so that I can be happier than I am? The bottom line is this. As tough as those paths might be, it feels so good to have a path, a direction, things to work on in our lives that will make us better people. And that is joy. Hence, the pink candle burning above you. Hence, the pink vestments and the music. The tough questions from our Bible included. After all, this is a different kind of joy.